that, I would just like to read a little message from all members of council. And firstly, we wanted to thank all our residents for coming out to vote in the 2022 election and to all the candidates who put their names forward in the election. We all appreciate your support in getting our team re-elected this term and continuing the good work that has been started. Council is excited to serve our citizens for another 4 years and deliver on the priorities identified by our residents. After the election, Council began a review of the previous strategic plan in February of 2023, with the intention to review the strategic plan so we could update the vision, strategy, priorities, and values of our community, along with setting the goals and direction we heard from our ratepayers. In the coming months, we will be working toward further communication and consultation with our ratepayers on the goals and direction established in the strategic plan. Council is committed to work towards providing services to our ratepayers to build a safe and healthy community in the current economic environment as a result of the global pandemic. The RM of St. Clements continues to be the place to be with the growth we are experiencing, and various Manitobans also looking to spend more time utilizing the various amenities the RM has to offer. Council and administration are committed to delivering the priorities of our municipality by improving services and delivering various capital projects to enhance our community. Council has been working hard to continue to be more transparent and accessible to our citizens through the use of technology, online meetings, social media, and public engagement. With the value of communication and openness, this financial plan public hearing is being provided as additional information that will help to highlight the priorities of the 2023 financial plan. And with that, I am going to turn it over to our CAO to review the financial planning process on our 2023 financial plan.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We are presenting the financial plan for the RM of St. Clements. The plan has been developed through collaboration with administration and council. It addresses our revenues and expenditures, projects being put forward, and most important, what are the priorities of the municipality. The financial planning process helps take the municipality in the direction that it will enable it to manage expected growth, infrastructure, and request for service while keeping the tax rate sustainable and protecting the environment. The financial plan also takes into consideration the unexpected challenges the municipality may face due to uncertain times we are presently encountering. The financial plan also supports the draft strategic planning initiative at Council in February of 2023 and the goals that were established as part of that plan. The strategic plan, or vision, after the review in 2023 of the concurrent strategic plan, Council determined a new vision, mission, and values that will guide the decision making over the next 4 years. Our vision is a welcoming, diverse, and growing communities supporting safe lifestyles for all ages to live, recreate, and be prosperous, with a mission that the RM of St. Clements is committed to sustainable growth, enhanced amenities and services, and offering people of all ages desirable places to live and recreate. The municipality supports diverse land uses and settlement types while maintaining an environment where diverse residents across the municipality coexist in harmony. With the values of communication and openness, where we will communicate our plans and intentions openly and work with residents and stakeholders to understand ideas, concerns, and work towards solutions. Collaboration and respect. We work together with, as council, administration, and residents to arrive at a clear path of action with a willingness to compromise, build consensus, and respect one another. With diversity as another value, where we seek to uphold and increase the functional diversity in land use, communities, and lifestyles available to all ages across our municipality. We will be financially accountable. We will be responsible growth of our tax base and reduce inefficient expenses and inactive assets to achieve accountability and desirable levels of service for our residents. And finally, continuous improvement is one of our values, where we will empower staff at all levels to recommend better working practices and minimize efficiencies through continuous improvement techniques and enable the municipality to save money and increase quality without reducing the level of service. Through the strategic plan values and mission, goals were established by the RM, and I'll go into each one of them in more detail. A comprehensive plans for roads and drainage and water and waste, affordability, targeted sustainable growth, anticipated future needs and amenities and services, focusing on recreation and key destinations, and finally build diverse, resilient, and sustainable communities. As part of this, the RM St. Clements has, after establishing the vision to guide the administration, took into consideration what is the current environment. In looking at that, we are fortunate to be a growing municipality. As growth can be an important contributor to sustainable tax levels for the citizens of the municipality. We also have various challenges and demands for increased service levels and increased responsibility placed on the RM by provincial legislation with limited revenue growth. The municipality needs to be prepared for unknown, sometimes difficult external influences on finances, resources, and service levels, as we have seen from recent weather events, and the municipality has responded quickly when these events have occurred. Our responsibility is to develop strategies and actions in order to provide a level of predictability for our ratepayers. RM St. Clements continues to be the place to be with the growth we are experiencing, and various Manitobans are also looking to spend more time utilizing the various amenities the RM has to offer. Through examining the current environment, we identified the priorities. The priorities for service delivery have been communicated through the strategic plan by creating goals and actions which the budget supports. In addition, priorities from external influences have been identified. Climate change and its impact on our existing drainage network, along with our ability to respond to unanticipated weather events, needs to be addressed. As an example, the late fall storms of 2019, droughts of 2021, winter storms of 2022, or the rains of 2022, or COVID-related expenses. As well, it is understood that much of the infrastructure of roads and buildings in the RM were built well over 50 years ago, and fixing and replacing these assets would be an expensive endeavor. The demand for improvement in transportation network and recreation opportunities continues to be a priority for the RM and its citizens. Council and the administration are also aware of the importance of keeping taxation reasonable in the long term. Therefore, opportunities need to be explored for managing expenses and revenue growth through economic development, focus on development of regional infrastructure, and allow for reducing costs and increasing service levels with a focus of exploring operational efficiencies through technological advancements. As part of this, Strategic Plan Goal 1, which is a comprehensive plan for roads and drainage, water and waste, it identifies, establish, and communicate priorities from basic services plans in every area of the municipality to address roads and drainage, water, solid waste, and sewer. The RM identified several major road projects that were needed in the past to continue to provide quality infrastructure through proper asset management. The projects are being completed using infrastructure reserves created through the various financial planning processes. Our financial plan continues to support a $4 million commitment over 4 years of council, and in fact, the funding commitment is expected to surpass the $4 million. In addition, in 2022, the RM encountered several severe weather events that required submission for disaster financial assistance in 2022. As a result, 5 major projects totaling over $4.5 million were approved by the province and are to be completed in 2023. And those are Road 89 slope failures, Ashfield Road slope repair, Ludwig Road slope failures, Old Henderson north of the bridge, ditch erosion, Old Henderson south of the bridge, ditch erosion, all totaling well over $4.5 million. As part of, additionally to the Strategic Plan Goal 1, as a large municipality with over 728 square kilometers of drainage networks, it continues to be a priority, and the priority to reduce overland flood risks. In order to reduce overland flood risk, the RM continues to work on various priority drains to complete further drainage studies. Climate change and its impact on our existing drainage network, along with our ability to respond to unanticipated events, continues to be a priority. In 2021, the RM finished many long-standing drainage issues and now has begun to focus on priorities related with unanticipated events. In order to continue to reduce overland risk, flood risk, the RM's budget again identifies work on priority drains and complete further drainage studies to address climate change and its impact on our ability to respond to the unanticipated events. And we have now begun to focus on drainage work through increased operating budgets. As continuing with Goal 1, in 2023, the financial plan continues to support a commitment in funding for specific hard surface roads, for Council's commitment through the 1 mil rate dedication to the road improvement per year. In 2023, the RM is continuing to invest in major roads through the 1 mil rate per year into the road reserve of this year of $903,717. The major road project of the road plan this year will be Waco Drive at $710,938 approximately. In 2023, the commitment is also to complete previous hard surface roads at approximately $3.5 million. As well, increased budget for gravel operations and road maintenance has been increased by $35,000. And Council has also increased the budget for dust control by $56,000. As part of the comprehensive plan for roads, we've increased the drainage operating budget to address brushing, increased by $50,000 for this year. Drainage and ditching by another $60,000. And the increases will address also grass cutting inside the ditches. And as well, we've identified various drainage works by ward, those being IXL ditching from path 44 to 29 east, Kirkness path 44 to Pine, harder drain ditching, Hay Road, drain on Nicholas in the RM boundaries, and the 81 and Ward 2, 81 North, 2 Mile Road, Pioneer Road, Telstra ditching, Ridgeview, Raxton, and Glenmore drain. Strategic plan, comprehensive plan for roads, drainage, and water and waste. As part of this, in 2021, the RM committed to $5.5 million in borrowing to take advantage of another $4.3 in previous borrowing authority to be directed to the RM's infrastructure priorities, which was the phase 1 of the South St. Clements Regional Utility Infrastructure, which was the Henderson Wastewater Project and the East Selkirk Water Softener Project. This allowed the RM to leverage the borrowing with infrastructure grants from the Province of Manitoba Water Services Board, Provincial Restart Program grants for a total estimated funding of $9.7 million for the 2 projects. Phase 1 of the 2 projects were completed in 2022, and in 2023 the RM has been approved for phase 2 of the 2 projects, which will bring $3.25 million of grants for a total of $6.5 million grants towards water and wastewater management. The water main line to Lockport is at $4.5 million, while the new lift station and decommissioning the Lockport sewer plant will be for $2 million, totaling a total of $6.5 million. As to deliver the services to our citizens, the RM is also, it relies significantly on property taxes as the main source of revenue. The other sources of revenue for the municipality are made up of business taxes, utilities, fees, grants, and reserves. With targeted sustainable growth and managing costs for the ratepayers, it will be important to concentrate on other sources of revenue to reduce reliance on property taxes, as per goal number 2, which is keeping costs affordable for ratepayers. In addition to goal 2 for keeping costs affordable and affordability, in 2019, Council adopted a principle to minimize the impact of taxes on our ratepayers and committed to a modest 2% per year increase. This municipal commitment, along with the provincial goal of reducing the impact of school taxes and property tax bill, had continued to show an overall reduction to the total property tax bill to our ratepayers. This year, the province of Manitoba has continued on its commitment to reducing the school taxes and will be increased to 50% this year. The 50% refund for the 2023 from the province will be sent out to taxpayers by check directly from the province. The RMs continue to see inflationary increases though, and in the delivery of services for construction, gravel purchases, and fuel costs. In order to provide predictability and address inflationary increases, Council is proposing to freeze the mill rate for 2023 at the same rate as 2022, and also to look to freeze the mill rate in 2024 at the same rate. The freeze in the mill rate in 2023 will show no increase on the municipal portion of the tax bill for a property assessed at the same amount as 2022. Although 2023 is a reassessment year, and in many properties will see an increase in property assessments. It is anticipated that any property assessment increases and resulting tax increases will be somewhat offset by the increase in school tax rebate this year. It's difficult to determine the exact offset as the reassessments are based on market value, and some properties will go higher while some may go lower. In addition, the province of Manitoba is proposing further increases in school tax rebate in 2024, with the mill rate for the RM remaining constant. It will further reduce the overall property tax burden. As per the 3-year budget planning, Council is projecting a 1% increase in 2025, depending on the rate of inflation and its impact on operations. It is anticipated that the 2023 budget and the proposed 24 budget will provide a level of predictability and in the long run reduce the tax burden on residents. As identified earlier, municipalities have limited options available for generating revenue for property taxes as a significant component used to provide services. So, in reviewing taxes on households in St. Clement, the municipality only has one significant source of income, being property taxes. In looking at a review of the median household income of $86,000 was used with the 2015 dollars from Statistics Canada's 2016 census, which showed an average household income of about $104,000 in St. Clements. A comparison against the income tax and education levy sources of revenue for the province was used against the municipal portion of the property tax, estimated at $1,404 for an average household in St. Clements, assessed at $300,000. It should be noted that other sources of income, such as PST, GST, and federal taxes, were not used in this comparison. We utilized the comparison that the province had provided earlier on showing a percentage of the tax pie by the municipal portion and the provincial portion. The above chart shows the distribution of the funds to services for municipal taxes and provincial and federal grants. Service fees, transfers from accumulated surpluses, and transfer from specific purpose reserves is part of that. So in looking at that in more detail, you can see that the chart shows the distribution of funds to services for municipal taxes. Provincial and federal grants, service fees, transfers from accumulated surpluses, and transfers from specific purpose reserves all help in order to provide the full services from the municipality. The municipal taxes pay for approximately 46% of the entire budget of the municipality. This chart shows how that 46% would be divided on, if you were on an average household of $1,404 in taxes, what that would translate into the various different services that have been identified in the financial plan. As you can see, there are reasonable numbers. And as mentioned, it only applies for 46%. In addition to that, this year the province of Manitoba has made a commitment to reducing the school taxes by 50% in 2023. Therefore, the 50% refund from the 2023 from the province will be sent out to the taxpayers by check directly from the province. The tax bill would be $1,404 for an average property assessed at $300,000. As you can see, the tax above shows that school taxes take up 54%. Of that, 50% would be returned back to the ratepayers. The municipal taxes only take up 46%. But the total municipal revenue comes from not only municipal taxes, which is 51%, but transfers from reserves and grants and fees, which is another 21%. In In order to keep costs affordable, despite the various financial challenges facing municipalities, it's also important that we keep costs affordable for our community. St. Clements is committed to managing the tax rate, and the table above shows our 2023 mill rate is among one of the lowest when compared to our neighbors. The mill rate is not always the best indicator when comparing taxes between municipalities, as numerous other factors must also be considered. The average cost of homes, lot size, density, the amount of commercial and industrial assessments, along with service levels, which all impact the level of taxation. The per dwelling comparison addresses some of these challenges, but it does not offer a clear picture. Some of the listed municipalities have substantial commercial and industrial properties which impact the revenue for the RM. As you can see, some of the ones that are at the lowest levels have significant commercial and industrial land. The RM of St. Clements has continued to see inflationary increases in the delivery of services for construction costs, gravel purchases, and fuel costs. If inflation persists, or if we even go into a recession as a result of the global pandemic, there will be considerable pressure on municipal resources and service delivery. The cost of fuel, hydro, and wages continue to rise. In order to provide predictability and address inflationary increases, Council is proposing to freeze the mill rate for the 2023 at the same rate as 2022, and to also look to freeze the mill rate in 2024 at the same rate. This freeze in the mill rate in 2023 will show no increase in the municipal portion of the tax bill for a property assessed for the same amount. As mentioned earlier, 2023 is a reassessment year, and many properties will see increases in property assessments. It is anticipated that property assessment increases and resulting tax increases will be somewhat offset by the increase in the school tax rebate this year. As part of the 3-year budget and planning, Council is also projecting a 1% increase only for 2025, depending on the rate of inflation and its impact on operations. It is anticipated that the 2023 budget and the proposed 2024 budget will provide a level of predictability in the long run and reduce the tax burden on our residents. As identified earlier, municipalities have limited options available for generating revenue, and property taxes is a significant component of that. But not only is it taxation, it's also fiscal and cash flow management is a responsibility of municipalities. Keeping costs affordable for our ratepayers also requires management of expenses such as fiscal and cash flow management, which has allowed the RM to reduce its reliance on utilizing our operating line of credit, whereby not costing the RM more money for interest. In 2020, the RM worked to eliminate the interest expenses related to utilizing the line of credit, and the chart shows the continued progress in reducing operating costs related to the short-term line of credit borrowing, with continued progress in cash balance stabilization. As part of Goal 3, which was targeted sustainable growth, which requires good planning in providing services at a reasonable cost for generations to come. A poorly planned development could result in additional maintenance expenses without the property tax revenue to support the cost. Good planning can identify opportunities to increase housing options and lead to an expansion of our tax base. Economic development is important, as well as in order to find ways to make investments in St. Clements attractive. This could mean an expansion of industrial and commercial lots or targeted rezoning efforts. The administration has engaged with the planning consultants to review some complex subdivisions, create concept plans, and will pass text amendments on the zoning bylaw. We'll continue to identify marketable lots and land parcels with a review to the real estate market and improve liaisons with developers at an early stage. The RM continues to promote lands for conservation subdivision as well. As part of strategic goal 3, some of the targeted sustainable growth opportunities are zoning and bylaw text amendments and bylaw updates, Henderson Sewer Project, which is the lift station of the decommissioning of the plant, the East Selkirk Water Treatment Plant upgrades and expansion by taking water to Lockport, support of the subdivisions and streamlining approvals so that we can provide a proper place for investment, support industrial parks development and expansion, and look at senior housing opportunities in the RM, marketing and disposal of our surplus lands, and the removal of barriers to growth. Finally, the targeted sustainable growth request for proposals to develop a multi-use commercial residential option in the RM land in East Selkirk is going to be pursued. Regional infrastructure to promote orderly development, as mentioned. The Henderson Sewer Project and the water treatment plant expansion. Water lines to Lockport, as we've talked about. Economic development opportunities in Lockport and Grand Marais are being explored, as well as the seniors and affordable housing opportunities in Selkirk. And finally, a commitment to recreation opportunities. With the commitment to recreation opportunities leads us to goal 4, which is anticipation of future needs and amenities and services focusing on recreation at key destination. Our goal is to evolve amenities and services to prepare for the future needs of our changing communities. As we continue to evolve amenities and services to prepare our future needs, and this is important to retain and grow our population. We have finished a recreation needs assessment to identify gaps in delivery of quality of life infrastructure and programming. Our recreation trails master plan is being worked on and has resulted in a planned increase for trails and with grant applications to leverage our investments. We are excited about the St. Clements Activity Center project on 10 acres of land on Donald Road. This year we will also see the finishing of the construction of the park, as well as beginning the construction of the recreation building. The plan includes a walking track, water feature, areas for program space, and finally the recreation building. The administration has also increased fitness programming for adults through partners, and we will continue to examine and utilize these types of partnerships for future delivery of programs in order to broaden the opportunities within the community. A commitment to enhance and promote water access has also been identified. Moving on to continuing on goal 4, anticipate future needs and amenities and services. We want to continue to advocate and support our community for our community grants. We will continue to provide specific grants to community and recreation projects and organizations totaling well in excess of $190,000. Construction of a $6 million South St. Clements Activity Center. Construction of a daycare in East Selkirk. Construction of contribution $200,000 towards the recreation reserve, and then identification of $300 towards a boat launch in the RM. And finally, goal 5, which is build diverse, resilient, sustainable communities. Unlike some of its neighboring municipalities, St. Clements can boast a range of exceptional 4-season outdoor recreational opportunities. And they are increasingly getting noticed, whether it's more people ice fishing, or to going to the various beaches in the RM. There's a unique opportunity for these St. Clements to build on this momentum. Positive interest in this recreational amenities can be a source of pride for residents and showcase the municipality for future residents. The RM has worked collaboratively to form a tourism marketing committee for Beaches 59, as well as our collaborative work with other municipalities and Grand Beach Provincial Park have helped to promote the destination tourism in the East Beaches area. The RM will continue to focus on these services as we continue with funding summer season washrooms at the 4 beach locations, and will continue to focus on partnerships with the school division and existing organizations of the East Selkirk Recreation Association and the Grand Marais Recreation Association. From this, we move to our financial plan and identifying our revenues and expenditures. As for the revenues, you can see the total tax levy. It shows that there will be an increase that's anticipated as part of the reassessment. And as you can also see, there is also a significant amount of investment coming in, which is transferred from accumulated surpluses and reserves. That's one of the other things that we'll be discussing later, which is to talk about how the reserves have helped to balance and stabilize the municipality. So total municipalities' revenues do fluctuate depending on the number of capital projects and the reserves that we're drawing upon. You can see that there's been steady growth in the RM. As to the expenditures, we can see that the total municipal expenditures, which take money from the reserves and then transfer on to the various capital projects that have been identified into the, for the RM, we have total expenditures of $22 million for the year of 2023. And finally, moving on to the capital items which are being purchased this year. A list of various capital items that are being purchased. Should be noted that almost all these capital items that have been listed at the top half are all being funded through reserves. So the RM is not relying on borrowing to deliver on some of these projects. Now, there is one, which is the water plant lines, which have been identified through borrowing. The 3.25, 1 million is coming out of the reserves, and 2.25 will be for borrowing this year. The South St. Clements Community Recreation Community Building Grant has also been identified at 116,000, which is carryover from last year. As you can see, we have also the temporary financing, which is the other capital projects that have been identified and that have been completed and have been identified for the borrowing, where you've got the South St. Clements Recreation Center, the Water Control Works, which was the total of we only needed to do borrowing of $1.525 million, although we delivered on $3.5 million worth of drainage works. And then what we have is a South St. Clements utility plant and water lines, which is the $2.25 million that was devoted towards that part of the project for the expansion, and then the $1 million that will be coming out of the reserve loan. As well as what we have is the South St. Clements Utility LID, which is putting in curb stops in the Henderson catchment area. They'll be borrowed but offset by taxes by those benefiting directly. So, in order to understand the debt, what you can see is that if you compare 2022 to 2023, due to the assessment growth, our financial position, our debt position has improved again. So in 2023, of the 7% available that municipalities are allowed to borrow, based on their assessment base, the RM of St. Clements still has 4.47 of debt capacity remaining, which totals over $40 million still available, which shows good financial management on the part of the RM. And another component that the municipal board requires is that the RMs stay within its ability to pay for these bills, and it allows for up to 20% of its annual revenue could be borrowed. Out of that, there is still 11.18% available, totaling over $2.5 million in payments that would still be available to the RM. As you can see, based on these, that we continue to manage our debt capacity and our debt position for the RM without putting any risk or hitting the debt ceilings as identified by provincial legislation. But not all debt is the same. And so how are debt funded? Well, general taxes only pay for about 33% of that. Utility rates and the utility functions provide for 6%. Local improvement districts, such as the one I just talked about for the South St. Clements and the Henderson catchment area curb stops, those are local improvement districts. That translates to about 21%. And then the gas tax grant that we use, so grants and other purposes are used, and that covers for about 42% of our debt. So with debt also requires the ability to manage your expenses and make sure that you have enough funds in your bank accounts to be able to pay for all these things. And so when we take a look at that, we have the reserves. And what I wanted to highlight here is when council, this particular council has taken over, and the previous council, which is the same council as the current council, the same council as the last council, we went from a $2 million overall reserves to what we are sitting at is $7.8 million in reserves now. And that is, as you can see, has continued from 2 million to 3 million to 4 million to 7 million to 7.8 in 2022, which goes to show you that the RMs continue to not only manage its expenses, but utilize its surpluses and capacity to continue to build up its reserves to make the RM much more financially sustainable. And so, to finish up, Madam Mayor, in 2023, Council continues to reduce future risk related to infrastructure costs by 1 mill rate dedicated towards roads equaling $903,717, stabilizing the reserve from year-end surpluses to provide sufficient funds for capital projects in 2023 totaling over $7.8 million in reserves. Support recreation in the RM with $200,000 in reserves and development of the St. Clements Activity Center as a community recreation project, as well as construction of a boat launch for $300,000. Continue to support business community through $50,000 towards development of biz improvement zones, commitment to community and volunteer groups through grants in excess of $190,000, delivery of next phase of the strategic infrastructure priorities totaling $6.5 million for sewer and water projects, fiscal and cash flow management to reduce reliance on utilizing the operating line of credit, continue to implement a 3-year budgeting strategy and provide a level of predictability and stability for the operations of the RM, and increase services to dust control, gravel roads, grass cutting, drainage, brushing, and ditching. As well, in 2023, a commitment to complete previous hard surface roads at approximately $3.5 million. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much. Any comments from members of council?
Minute to spare.
Very well done.
Yes.
Yes, very
Thank you.
well done. Thank you very much. That was lots of talking. And I guess if there's nothing from members of council, and if you have nothing more that you want to add to the presentation at this point in time, as I see there is no one on Zoom and we have no one in our council chamber with us, I would say that we could adjourn the meeting if we so wish.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
You're okay with, everybody's good with that? Okay, so I will call the meeting adjourned at 7:42 p.m., please.
Recording stopped.